Thomas Didymus Rodgers, who died in 1887 and was buried here. He was sort of exiled out here to Antioch Methodist Cemetery. He wasn't buried in Pageland at Zion Methodist Cemetery. For reasons I'm going to go ahead and air the dirty laundry and explain. So come on and take a walk with me through the cemetery and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay? The story goes like this. In 1861, Thomas Didymus Rodgers enlisted to fight in the Civil War for the Confederacy with the 27th North Carolina Infantry. And as he was getting ready to go off to war, he brought a young woman into the home, ostensibly, as he told the community and family members, to help look after his wife. So this young woman moved into his house and he headed off to fight. 6 months after he enlisted and left to go fight, this young woman that he had brought into the home to help his wife gave birth to a very healthy, full-size baby boy. Well, Thomas survived the war. He came home, and immediately his wife said, "I'm done with you. You're out of here." And she kicked him out. About a year later, he married the young woman who was the helper. They went ahead and, did what everybody else knew they had done. And ostensibly, Thomas Didymus said that he adopted the young man as his son, which everybody in the family realized you adopted your own son. Sure, right. So Thomas Didymus Rodgers was the black sheep of the family in that era. He died, and the family essentially exiled him, as best we can tell from what the family folklore is. He wasn't going to be buried at Zion with everybody else. He was buried out here at Antioch. And this cemetery still exists, but it's essentially ignored. Someone comes and mows what little grass there is, but you'd be shocked at all the broken tombstones. There are graves that the woods are swallowing up now. This is what happens when a cemetery isn't maintained. Now, long story short, fast forward to 2001. A great aunt of mine died. Her son came from New Mexico to bury her 10 miles west of here at Zion in Pageland. And somehow the discussion after Grace's funeral came to Thomas Didymus Rodgers, and I said, well, I know where he's buried. And my cousin got the idea. He's going to do the permitting process. He's going to have his body exhumed. He's going to move him to Zion with the family. And that's what they did. In 2004, he had gotten the permit from Chesterfield County. They came here with a crew, and this is where the headstone was. This is where Thomas Didymus Rodgers' grave was. There's kind of still a hole here. They started to dig, and there was no body. They reported he's not here. The tombstone's here, but he's not here. And he had them keep digging. So to make a sordid tale just a little bit more sordid and a long story a little bit shorter, they dug up dirt from here, took the dirt 10 miles, buried that dirt, moved the tombstone, and now his grave is at Zion United Methodist Cemetery. The question the family has asked, at least some members of the family, some of us would rather not talk about it, frankly, some of my relatives, when they dug this spot up, there were no bones. He wasn't here, even though his tombstones were here. So where was he? Bigger question, where is he? Because if they didn't dig him up and move him to Zion, he's still here somewhere. Just nobody ever knows, and nobody ever will know. So the tale of my ancestor, I think it's great-great-grand uncle, I believe you'd call him, Thomas Didymus Rodgers, is sort of one of those points to be made about cemeteries. It's important to keep records. to maintain, and there's no end date on that. Because when you don't do that, you end up with something like this. That's why a cemetery and how we care for it is important. And that's what kicks into the presentation we're going to have this morning. The idea of how do we take care of our cemetery? Whether we're still here or not. How do we take care of it so that if you could see what I'm seeing now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, a dozen or more headstones have been broken and rather poorly glued back together, cemented back together. Maybe this is a party spot on Friday or Saturday night for local kids, I don't know. But how do we avoid something like this? That's important. So, from Old Antioch Cemetery, where one of my ancestors is still at, whether his tombstone's here or not, let's have this discussion. I think we need to. So, that's why this is kicking off our discussion this morning. Stay tuned. We'll talk more, obviously, but from South Carolina, I'll see you back in the Fellowship Hall in just a minute, okay? So we'll talk then.